Yo, 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 welcome to episode 6 of the Elite Wrestling Club podcast, where we explore individuals' dreams and the unwavering persistence to achieve them on and off the mat. Hi, I'm your host, Lance Runyon, and I'm thrilled to have you join us for another inspiring episode. On this episode, we will be going behind the scenes on Corey Land, who is a 4-time Alabama state champion, a Greco World Team member, and a 2022 winner of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame's Dave Schultz High School Excellence Award. This award is for the nation's most outstanding high school senior male wrestler for excellence in wrestling, academic, citizenship, and community service. We will share personal stories and valuable insights. We're excited to bring you a fascinating conversation that will inspire and motivate you to chase your dreams and achieve greatness both on and off the mat. So without further ado, let's welcome Corey Land and dive into the Elite Wrestling Club podcast world. But before diving into the episode, we're going to say a quick thanks to our sponsor, CrossFit 327, which is located in Pleasant Hill, Iowa. This gym is far from ordinary, focusing on high-intensity functional fitness designed to unlock your full potential, aligning perfectly with our podcast's ethos. CrossFit 327 boasts a community of dedicated athletes and expert coaches ready to guide you whether you're an experienced wrestler or fitness enthusiast. They offer a range of classes and use state-of-the-art equipment to help improve your strength, agility, and endurance. No matter your level, they've got you covered. Don't hesitate to unleash your inner elite athlete. Visit their website at www.crossfit327.com. Thanks again to CrossFit 327. Now let's delve into the world of elite wrestling. What up, man?
That was pretty
Thanks.
good. How many times did you practice that one? A good bit?
Once a week, man.
There you go.
Yeah, you move into a new house or what?
Yeah, we just got settled in yesterday, so we're still trying to figure everything out, get everything put in place, and take everything that's not ours out. I'm sleeping on the floor right now. I don't have any dressers or desk or anything, so my room's pretty bare, but we're making it work.
It's all right. Are you getting that stuff or what?
Yeah, we're getting it. I just gotta
All right.
wait.
I don't know about that sweatshirt, man.
Dude, we're rocking. Roll Tide, baby. Hometown.
Roll Tide, huh?
Roll Tide.
So, how'd you get started in the sport of wrestling? What age did you start, and what kind of drew you to it?
So I started wrestling in fifth grade because my older brother, who was playing football at the time, because, back in Alabama, everything's football, football, football. And so I always grew up thinking I was going to be a football player. So I played pee wee football and like park ball. My brother played high school football for 2 years. But his sophomore year, he decided the football coach was like, hey, you should try out for wrestling. So he did a year of wrestling and, coming to all of his wrestling matches and all of his meets and just watching him wrestle. And then he'd come home from practice or he'd come home after and we'd grapple on the living room floor. Like, it just really, I just decided I wanted to try it out and do it. I look up to my older brother a lot, so I was like, I want to do what he's going to do. And so I started wrestling, fifth grade. And yeah, it's all history from there.
How old's your brother?
He is 23, almost 24. His birthday's in July, so he's 5 years older than me. He graduated from, or he went to, he was a two-time state champ in high school, went to Newberry for 2 years, and then transferred to Reinhardt, which is an NAI school, and wrestled for 2 years. And he just graduated last year. And now he's actually going to be the assistant coach at Montevallo Wrestling, which is the second ever college wrestling program in Alabama. It's a D2 school.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
You said Newberry. Where's that at?
South Carolina. It's D2.
I think one of the kids that was on my high school team wrestles there now.
Oh, yeah. They get a good bit of people.
Yeah, I mean he's from Iowa too, so I think I was a little surprised by that, but that he went that far at least. But I think he's doing well. I think he might have actually got injured this year, so.
Yeah.
So is your brother your biggest inspiration, or who was your biggest inspiration, like
Yeah, I
growing
mean,
up?
yeah, him and my dad. Like my dad has done so much for me and him. Just like he works all the time to pay for tournaments and wrestling shoes and our club and without him, me and my brother would have never been in the positions that we are in today. And then without my brother joining the wrestling team in the first place, I'd never be where I am today. He's like my biggest fan. He's always texting me, and we're pretty close still. So yeah, he's definitely someone I've been looking up to for a while.
It's a good relationship to have. So I assume those are probably some of your biggest supporters too. I mean, that's kind of what you already talked about. Is
Yeah.
there anybody else? Is there anybody else that made an impact on you, uh, especially in those years of you starting wrestling?
Yeah, I mean, like my club coaches, obviously Jake Elkins, who at the time was at this club called AWC, but now he started his own club in 2016 called Ironclad. He was definitely one of the biggest guys. He's like a second father to me. And then the assistant coach at Ironclad at the time, Ricky Korn, them two are definitely the biggest guys that have helped me throughout my journey. And then all my training partners, like I mean, I have a ton of them. We're from Alabama, so it's not like you can go down the street and wrestle the Fargo finalist. It's like everyone here is about the same, and you're gonna have to figure out how to make yourself better with the people you have. And I mean, everyone I trained with, I've always thought were killers, even though they didn't have maybe the exact same success I did. But I mean, they pushed me to my limits, and I pushed them. So without them and my coaches, I wouldn't be here either.
You want to talk about kind of growing up in Alabama and what it was like? I mean, wrestling and finding training and I mean, any
Yeah,
differences,
yeah.
I guess, too, from like up here that you've noticed already?
Oh yeah. So the culture is completely different. Like I said earlier, Alabama. The first thing you hear when you think of that is Alabama football. So if you're not playing football, or I guess there's basketball and baseball out there too. But I mean, there's a very small wrestling community, and if you go to someone who's never had a wrestler and like someone who wrestled in their life, and you go, "Yeah, I wrestled," they think WWE, belts and barbells and elbow drops and all that. So it's definitely it was definitely a struggle at first, but I kind of liked it. Like I mean, it was hard. Not you don't get the same recognition as you do. Like even like my high school did the best they could, but the football team gets brand new field and facilities, and my high school didn't even have a wrestling room. We worked out in the lunchroom for however many years, and then when we got kicked out of there, we had to work out somewhere else, and then when we got kicked out of there, we had to drive 8 minutes off campus to the civic center and work out there. And now they're back in the lunchroom again. So like, there's not even a wrestling room at my high school. So that like it's crazy, but I mean, we
Would
won
you guys
state as
just
a
roll
team.
out mats in?
Yeah, I mean, we would at the end of the day. I don't know if y'all had, but like we didn't have like a last period wrestling thing. So like after school we had practice. So we'd pull out all the tables and we'd roll out the wrestling mats, and then we'd have practice, and then we'd clean the mats and roll them back up and put them back behind everything, and then put the tables back out. So I mean, it was something. Eventually we got to practice in the civic center, which was down the street from the high school, and we had the mats down permanently, but like it was 60 degrees in the room all the time. We
Yeah.
weren't allowed to have like music too loud. There was one bathroom. There wasn't showers. Like it wasn't very. It was good enough, but it wasn't very nice. The people that worked there hated us and tried to get us kicked out every time they could. So I mean, it's definitely different. And then even like the fan aspect of it, like if you go to our team won state in 2019. Like as a team state, we had three state champs, I think, five finalists. Like we were good for that year. And if you came to a wrestling like a dual meet that we hosted as a high school, there was 30 people. It's the parents, siblings, grandparents, and then like that's basically it. Like
Yeah.
there wasn't fans, there wasn't like a student section. So I definitely one of the biggest things about coming up here and going to like the duels here is that the atmosphere is crazy. Like I remember the first duel. It's just everyone's screaming like it's insane. These people who like never have wrestled in their lives, they love the sport. They know what's happening. That's the biggest thing is they know what's happening. Like parents and stuff will come, but they have no clue what's happening. Like you could take someone down and they'd be like, how'd they get 2 points? But it was definitely a lot cooler being up north and going around and people looking at your ears and saying, "Oh, you're a wrestler. Like, where'd you wrestle from?" or stuff like that. It's definitely cool.
Um, was there like a lot of high schools that had wrestling, or was it pretty hit or miss? I mean, did you have to like travel a lot to get competition, or was it?
No, most teams had a team. So there was three divisions when I was in there. There was 1A through 5A because basically now it's 1 through 4A, but 1A schools, 2A schools, and 3A schools very hit or miss if they had a team because they're super small. Like a lot of them didn't have teams. 4 and 5A schools basically had a team, and there was 6A, which 6A was the biggest division. They had the most teams, and there was 7A, which is all the rich schools. So they were the best division most of the time, and they had a bunch of kids too. But like there was a lot of people or there was a lot of schools, but you kind of wrestled the same kids. And, I remember wrestling the same kid 3 times 1 week. Like there's the same teams go to the same tournaments, and I mean I get it. Like you got to wrestle people, but like I don't know, it's hard. It's different. There's you wrestle a lot of the same teams a lot of times.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, did you ever like travel out of state at all for tournaments, or was it pretty much just?
No, so some teams did like the 7A schools. They could afford it. They could afford the buses and the hotels and all that. But my I was 5A, which was kind of behind the middle. Like we didn't even have a travel bus. Like most of the time, we were having a carpool to tournaments, which is pretty sure it's illegal. But we had a carpool to tournaments because we didn't have a bus. We took a bus sometimes, and then we eventually just got too much money, so we couldn't take it anymore. We didn't go out of state. We kind of just wrestled the same in-state things. So honestly, I don't want to sound like arrogant, but I used the in season as my off season, and then my off season was national tournaments and all that. So like, I tried not to cut
Yeah,
weight in season and all that.
I mean that makes sense. Like when you put it like that, I mean you're basically using that as your training period, I'd say, and your big competitions were going to be in the summer when you're able to travel
Yeah,
and
like
get those tougher competitions.
I was wrestling like 32 in season, weighing like 26, 27, 28 for the team. Like I would basically just go wherever the team needed me. If they needed me to lose 3 pounds to make a weight class, I'd go there. If they needed me to wrestle up 5 pounds, I'd go there. Most of the time, there wasn't a kid like worth a shit. Honestly, I mean, maybe in some of the other places there was. Like there was a kid my senior year who was actually pretty good, but I mean, other than there wasn't a ton of competition there. There was very select few kids who could actually like that were actually elite. At least, I mean, I don't want to say that because my class was pretty good, and a lot of kids in my class went D1, but there's just levels. Like they were good. A lot of them were different weight classes though. Like everyone was pretty spread out because everyone kind of ran from the competition, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. So you said you played football a little bit. Was there other sports that you played, or like when did you quit those other sports to really focus on wrestling?
So I played pee wee football, my third grade year and fourth grade year, and maybe fifth grade year, and then I quit. And I didn't know what I was gonna do. I mean, everyone was the same height at the time. Like I'm pretty sure I'm 5'5" or whatever. So everyone was the same height at the time. So I was like, shoot, I'll play basketball because my brother was playing basketball. He was either gonna play basketball or wrestle. So he tried out for the basketball team, didn't make it, ended up wrestling, which got me into it. So I was like, I'm gonna try to play basketball. If I went out and tried to play basketball now, I wouldn't even be in college. I would have never gotten into it. And then I remember I was gonna try to play baseball too, and me and my brother went out one time, and he was like pitching at me, and I was just terrible. I can't hit a ball to save my life, and I can't pitch, and like I can barely throw. So it was a little humbling. It was annoying, and then I fell in love with wrestling, so it all worked out in the end. But yeah, I quit
So
football as soon as I started wrestling. I quit football.
okay, So you really committed to wrestling then in fifth grade, and it was just
Yeah, I
go
don't
go
think
go from there.
I never really like thought about playing two sports at the same time. I've always thought like, well, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it like the whole time. I don't understand how people can be really good at two sports if they're not, training that sport if like constantly throughout year round. In my mind, it's like you can't be good at wrestling if you don't train year round. Like you can be
Yeah,
okay, but I don't think you can be elite if you don't train year round.
that's an interesting topic because like I mean that's a pretty big conversation. I don't know in I guess the field that I'm in. I know we used to have like debates and stuff like that in class about like multi-sport compared to you know one sport athletes and the differences and things like that. So that's an interesting that that you have that take, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can be elite. Like, I guess, Michael Jordan played baseball for a year or whatever, and he was in the MLB, but he wasn't going to be the same baseball player as he was basketball player. And he
Yeah,
realized it because he only played for a year. He was like, well, why would I be, a decent baseball player, like a good baseball player, when I can be the best basketball player ever? It's like,
yep,
there's just differences in my mind.
yeah. I'm not saying I disagree. I was just,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a pretty interesting topic. Like, even if you think about how you grew up, like I mean, I grew up playing like every sport, but like the one I really committed to was wrestling,
Yeah.
and like I always knew I was gonna wrestle. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
the other ones, yeah, I did. I had fun doing them. That's kind of why I did them, but I
Hmm.
was still committing a majority of my time to wrestling.
Yeah. I think
So
another thing was just where I grew up. Like, not everyone was good, so I knew that like no one from Alabama had been elite yet. I mean, there's been a couple guys like Sam Latona is really good, but when I first started, he wasn't the guy yet. Um, and so I knew that like I wanted to be the first person to do these things. Like I wanted to be the best kid to ever come out of Alabama, and I was like, well, if I'm gonna be the best, I better train hard. Well, I don't have the best training partners right now. I don't have the best coaches right now, and throughout time, coaches leveled themselves up for me, for my teammates. My teammates leveled themselves up for me, for themselves. I leveled them up, so it's kind of like we were just building up on each other. And if I played football or baseball, I would have been not a part of all of that. I'd have been gone for a couple months and then came back and be like, oh, like we're doing these crazy, like I don't even know what this is. Like, what are we doing? But I feel like since I stayed consistently with the same people throughout the entire time, I'm like, oh, I know what we're doing. Like, this is easy. We do this every day. Like, we did this last year.
yeah,
Does that make sense? Like, I feel like I never like had to lose my like. I feel like I didn't waste my time. I feel like if I played like baseball throughout high school, it would have just ended up me like wasting my time playing baseball because I knew I wasn't gonna be the greatest baseball player ever. I feel like I can be the best wrestler ever, but if I'm not gonna be the best baseball player ever, then why am I doing it? Because it's fun. I mean, yeah, it's fun, but I can go have fun, play baseball with my buddies. We can go play wiffle ball in the parking or the field by the parking lot or whatever.
yeah. Um, were there any like tournaments that you attended? Uh, you know, like growing up right before high school. Like, did you travel at all before you got to high school?
Yeah, so my first ever tournament out of state, I was 70 pounds, I think, and I went to a dual tournament in Georgia, and I went 0 and 5. And I'd never like gotten my ass whooped that bad. Like I'd always like my very first time wrestling, I got second at state, like in its youth wrestling. But like I got second at state, so I was already like having a ton of fun. Like I got second at state, and then the next year I won it, and then but the year I got like second, I basically beat everyone up except for the guy I had in the finals who I would lost to, four times in all year. And so my first like ever out of state thing, I got my ass whooped. I didn't win. I had one match that went to overtime and I lost and I cried after every single match and it was the worst experience ever. And I thought I was gonna quit wrestling right there. And then me and my coach sat down and he was like, "Dude, this is just how it is. Like this is the bigger pond. We're in the pond right now. This is the lake." and eventually you're gonna go in the fucking ocean, and you're either gonna swim with the sharks or you're gonna get eaten. So we had to, fix some things. We had to like make some progress. So we went to Southeast Regionals and A6 Kids Nationals. I mean, most of them were very local. They were national tournaments. Like anyone could come. I wrestled kids from Pennsylvania, Iowa, Florida, stuff like that. But most of them were like regional tournaments. Southeast Regionals was always a big one. We went to, uh, which like I didn't start winning that one until seventh, eighth grade year, or like even
Yeah.
placing in that one until like 3 or 4 years. And I remember losing to the same kid, Kai Owen, who I think he goes to Columbia now. And I wrestled him 2 or 3 years in a row at Southeast Regionals, and he beat me in freestyle and Greco every single time. And I just looked at my coach and I said, "Dude, I can't beat these kids. Like I don't know what I'm supposed to do." And he told me something that I've never forgotten. And it's there's you got to think that we're on a track, and these guys are so far ahead of me right now because I just was just starting. I was 2 or 3 years in. Like these guys have been wrestling for 5 years. Most guys start wrestling when they're 5, 6, 7. I started wrestling when I was like 10, 11. So I was like, these guys have been running this track for so many years, and I'm just now starting. But they're jogging it, so I have to learn how to sprint the track. And he told me that we just have to get back to work, and I have to sprint the track, and I have to catch up with them. And every year, the score got closer and closer and closer. I don't think I ever wrestled him again, but I remember Kai Owen was the first kid that just absolutely whooped me at nationals every time, and I always had him like second or third round. And I was always so mad when I had him. But I mean, there was a bunch of times like a bunch of kids that I just couldn't, I never beat, and I've wrestled them a couple times, and I just never beat them. And I've had a lot of tough losses with those kids. But and then eventually I got in high school, and we started going to like Super 32, and I actually only went to Fargo once, but we went to like World Team Trials and NHSAAs. So that was like my first big tournament was NHSAAs. That was my first national tournament win in high school. I was in ninth grade. I had I don't remember who I had first round, but second round I had the number one seed. It was Daniel Wask from Blair Academy. He had just won, prep nationals at 106 the year before, and it was the round of 128, and I had him. And I remember just he was over there dancing. I actually talked to him quite a bit, like a couple years later, and he's a cool guy. But at the time, had his headphones on. He was messing around with his buddies. They see Alabama on the thing, and they're like, "Dude, I got an Alabama kid. This kid's about to suck. I'm gonna murder this kid." And I remember wrestling him, and I took him down, and like we kind of went. I took him down once, and he got an escape, and then in the second period, he got an escape, and I took him down again. We kind of went out of bounds, and I could see him breaking. Like this is my first time ever breaking someone, and like actually realizing I was breaking someone. I remember he was sitting on his knee, and he kind of looked at his coaches and was like he was like, why isn't this kid just giving up? He's supposed to be from Alabama. He's supposed to suck. All this stuff, and I just remember like, yeah, I got him. And then he tried to go upper body with me, which I wasn't even known for going upper body like at all. I wasn't even known for being a Greco guy yet. He goes double unders, and I just headlock him and pinned him. And I just remember that was the first time I ever beat a nationally ranked kid, and that was like when my career really started elevating. Was after my first NHSA national title.
So, have you been with that same ironclad coach
Yeah,
like
the whole
pretty much your whole journey?
whole journey. So I went to
That's pretty
AWC.
cool.
Yeah, I went to AWC, which there was two coaches, but they had two different locations. So there was this coach who, a bunch of stuff happened with him, and then there was Jake Elkins, who was my head coach
Yep.
because he lived closer. So I was with him, and then eventually they split, and I followed Jake, and he started Ironclad, and yeah, I've been with him ever since. We've been through thick or thin, we've been through hard weight cuts, and we've been through victories and losses together. So it's been pretty cool.
Um, yeah, and then you talked about like that sprint, and that's one thing that Doug talks about too a lot. He talks about like sprinting through the finish, like, and that's how you got to catch up. Guys are always training, they're always working, and he uses that as like like running. And to catch them, you're just gonna have to sprint, and you don't know how long you're gonna have to sprint for, and you don't even know if you're ever gonna catch them. But you know,
Just gotta
you
keep
gotta you
going.
gotta sprint, you gotta try. So that was pretty cool to hear that, and then the growing to be a shark, either be a shark or get eaten.
Yeah, you're either gonna grow and be a shark and be the predator, or you're gonna grow to be a, pretty little fish on the reef that's gonna get chomped up. Like you gotta
Yeah.
figure one out.
Yeah, so obviously you had a very successful high school career. You're undefeated, 203 wins, four state titles, and technically five, right? Because you won it as an eighth grader.
Yep.
So if you want to talk about your success in high school, and you talked about elevating levels there as a ninth grader, just your growth, I guess, throughout high school, and then we can get into a few other tournaments and things that you went to.
Yeah, so I started wrestling varsity in seventh grade. I was 75 pounds maybe. I had like 15 losses, but we wrestled, almost 100 matches every season. I think I was like 50 something and 15. Like we wrestled a ton of matches
And by
throughout the
varsity,
year.
you mean like high school, like you were wrestling high
Yeah,
school as a seventh grader.
yeah, I was high school 106. I was in seventh grade, 75 pounds. Um, it was a good season for me because I had a good like debate with my coaches and all that. Like, do I want to do this or do I want to wrestle another? Like, do I want to wrestle JV? And they're like, well, you're too good for JV kids, so you need to go wrestle like bigger kids. You're gonna take some losses, but you need to go wrestle like better kids. So I did that. I wrestled some good kids. I wrestled some kids that beat me because they were bigger than me, and I wrestled some kids that I beat. Uh, and so that was definitely a cool experience. I made it to state. I went 1 and 2 at state. Uh, and then eighth grade, I spent the whole summer, training and gaining weight and trying to put on as much muscle as I could. I mean, I still didn't really. I wish I had the photo to show you, but like my eighth grade self, I'm this short, pudgy little kid. My cheeks are fat and my headgear didn't help. But eighth grade year, I I was murdering most people. Then I wrestled this one kid, Cody Souter, shout out. He beat me 6-0 the first time we wrestled, and then beat me again 7-0 in the tournament right before state. Uh, and so that was like everyone knew like that was the kid I was probably gonna have in the finals. But there was also this other kid who I'd never wrestled who was a senior 106 pounder, and I was gonna have him in the semis. And I was just hyped to be at the state tournament again. It was definitely a different atmosphere. Like the state tournament's the one tournament where there's tons of people and like you can hear people cheering for you. And so that's like the one tournament. Like I don't know. I just always feel like I wrestle better when there's a crowd and when there's lights. Like I definitely wrestle better when I know people are watching me. I don't know. It's just something that I always perform better when I know people are watching me. And so going to the semifinals match against this kid who's undefeated, senior. He has his whole crew sitting right here coaching against me. I'm eighth grader, like I fucking barely hit puberty. Like I'm still this little pudgy kid. I'm still a little undersized. I was probably 85 pounds maybe. And I ended up beating the kid, and I ended up kind of whooping him, which was like really surprising. Uh, and after that match, I walked up to my coach and I said, "Dude, I'm winning the finals. Like I'm gonna win this tournament." And I was wrestling the kid that beat me twice. I'd never scored a point on. Like
Yep.
I was like, "Dude, I'm winning this tournament." And so we go in the finals match, and I took him down. And like we got this really big scramble. I ended up on top of the scramble, and that was the first takedown, like first points I ever scored on him. So in my mind, I'm like, "Dude, I just won. Like I won the match." And then he ends up like escaping and then taking me down. And I was like, "Dang, I just lost the match." But we just keep wrestling. I end up, winning 5-4, and you just standing up and flexing, and he like the whole place is going crazy because they're like, "Holy crap! This eighth grader just won state." Like I actually had like fans then. It was crazy. And so that was definitely like one of my best high school moments is just getting up and it being so loud you can't hear anything. It was crazy.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Like we don't have like middle school being able to wrestle the high school and stuff. So I mean, I can't imagine like even just being a freshman and like winning a state title, but let alone like being an eighth grader and like
Yeah.
knowing like you're not even in high school yet, and you're already developing a fan base and all that.
Yeah,
Um,
it was
that's
definitely
pretty
really
cool.
fun. Really cool. I mean, it's different though. Like Alabama's level obviously is as high as Iowa's, so I mean, it's different. But
So did you
it,
did you kind of know then like was that your goal then? I'm gonna just keep getting better and I'm gonna win as many state titles as I can for my
Yeah, I
last 4
mean,
years.
I wanted to win six. Like I wanted to win in seventh grade, and I think I could have if I was, 15, 20 pounds bigger than I was. Like if I would have hit puberty just a little bit faster, I feel like I could have won in seventh grade, but it didn't happen. So there's been six timers actually. I think I was the fifth or sixth or seventh five timer like in history. So I mean it's pretty common, but like when it happens, it's like, oh, this kid's gonna be good. Like we're gonna watch this kid for a while. So
Yeah,
that was pretty cool. Ninth grade year, I mean, undefeated. It was a good season. I wrestled the same kid five times. I wrestled in the finals. Sophomore year, same thing. I actually got surgery my freshman year. I think I had two hernias, so I was out for half the year. Came back and like the first tournament back, I had the kid that was gonna wrestle in the finals. So uh, sophomore year, same thing. Junior year, same thing. Senior year was a little bit different. So there's this kid in Alabama, and it was the one kid that's actually like pretty good who was at my weight class. His name's Isaiah Poe. He actually just committed to the University of Chattanooga, and so all this hype's going between our match. Like we haven't wrestled all season. Like I knew he was good. We wrestled at practice before. He's this super fast. He's very like he has really quick attacks. So we wrestled in sectionals, which is the tournament before state, and I ended up winning 14-7. But I mean, he took me down twice, and I hadn't been taken down in Alabama since my eighth grade year. So I mean, everyone's cheering against me. Like it's everyone wanted to watch me lose, and that was kind of surreal too. I had these people who I thought were like my fans and my like friend. People would come up to me and they're like, "Dude, I love watching you wrestle. Like, what's up? Like, how are you?" And I can hear them like in the videos, or I can look over and I can see them cheering against me, and it was like, dang, like the whole arena's going against me. That was surreal. I've never had a whole arena go against me like that. And I mean, it was sloppy. I wrestled like garbage, but I came up with a win. Everyone's yelling. They're like, blah, blah, blah. Kid ends up getting skin checked at state. Doesn't even get a wrestle at the state tournament. He has like herpes on his lip or something. So I didn't even have to wrestle.
wow.
Yeah, it was like everyone was like, dude, he's gonna beat him in the rematch. Like he wasn't gonna beat me. Like I like him. We actually talk. We Snapchat. We're cool. He knows the deal though. Like we've wrestled so many times. That summer we trained all summer for Fargo. He knows the deal. I know the deal. And then, but
That's funny, man.
the people who didn't know the deal were like, dude, he's gonna beat him. I'm like, this is Roy Lance gonna lose. I was like, dude, I'm not like that week, the 2 weeks between sectionals and like state, the amount of like I was like, dude, I'm not gonna have that close of a match ever again in Alabama. So I just started putting in work. Like usually I take it as my off season, but in those 2 weeks between sectionals and state, I was going hard in the paint. Like two workouts every day, waking up in the morning running, making sure my diet was clean, like everything was gonna be pitch perfect. Uh, doesn't matter because he got he got herpes in his
Yeah,
mouth. Didn't even wrestle him. Wrestled some. Basically, everyone ran from our weight class because we were the two best kids in the tournament. And I don't know. I wrestled a kid that we shouldn't even have made the finals and pinned him in 45 seconds instead. So that was my in
nothing,
season.
nothing wrong with a little pen, man.
Nothing wrong with Little Pin. That was my in season career, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about, um, you know, wrestling at. I guess we can start with like your development in Greco. Um, you want to talk about how you got so good at Greco? Training it. Was it pretty often? Was it common? I mean, I know up here like not many guys train Greco like as good as like Iowa is. I think as a state, in Greco, it's like once or twice a week. Like it's not something you just really commit to, but it seems like it really fits your style. And I don't know, just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so we used to do this thing called Fargo Camp, which was the month before Fargo. Every single day was 3 days. And I did that from basically when I started wrestling till now. So for 30 days, 3 days, first practice was conditioning, second practice was Greco, and then the night practice was freestyle. And so, I mean, I put in a practice of Greco basically every day. Uh, I don't know. I've always been like a little bit better than most of the kids at it. I don't know like why I'm good at it. I did a lot of 2-on-1s when I was younger, so that kind of correlated really well. I'm pretty. I like to think I'm pretty like explosive and powerful. So like the throws and all that came pretty well. So yeah, I wouldn't say that I like specifically trained that until I made the world team, which is when I was like, okay, well now I'm only going to worlds. I'm not going to Fargo. I'm going to worlds for Greco. So I'm
Yep.
only going to Greco this year. So for
What
like
year was that?
2019, it was my freshman year. That's when I made the team. My
So
first
did
team.
you make it twice then? Yeah, that's right.
So my first year, I made it, and I only trained Greco all basically that whole summer for Worlds. I went 1-1 at Worlds, and then the next year I was like, bet I'm ready for freestyle. Like I like freestyle more than like Greco, honestly. Like I honestly feel like I'm better at freestyle than I am at Greco. Uh, but COVID happened, so
Yep.
I'm training freestyle and Greco, and then COVID hits, boom, don't wrestle another freestyle match. So didn't wrestle freestyle other than World Team Trials in 2019. Didn't wrestle any freestyle in 2020. Only trained freestyle and Greco. I mean, I guess I trained it, but I didn't wrestle a match in freestyle then. And then 2021 hits, and I'm training for World Team Trials again, freestyle and Greco, and then I hurt my rib before, like 2 weeks before World Team Trials, a week and a half before World Team Trials. Go get an X-ray, like my ribs cracked. It wasn't like like it wasn't broken, but like there was like a pretty big crack in it that the X-ray showed, and I didn't even know if I was gonna go. The deal was I'd only wrestle Greco because I could not get taken down in Greco, and as long as I didn't get gutted, I'd be fine. So I go to 2021 World Team Trials, wrestle Greco only. Didn't wrestle a freestyle match, and then made the team again that year. So I only trained Greco all year that year. So like my first freestyle match uh, that I wrestled like nationally was Fargo my senior year. So I didn't really wrestle any freestyle like actual. I trained it, but I didn't get to wrestle a match until Fargo my senior year, which is kind of crazy.
That is crazy because you
And
you
then
dominated that tournament for sure.
yeah,
I
and then
remember
I
I
was
remember
gonna
following you.
no, I was gonna wrestle again at the U.S. Open, and then got hurt, so I didn't get to wrestle freestyle. I guess freestyle just doesn't want me to wrestle it because I've only wrestled one tournament in the past 4 years.
Do you want to talk about representing Team USA? I mean, you had two experiences out there. First one you said 1-1. I think you got bronze, right? And the second one or silver?
I got silver, yeah. So the first
Yeah,
one we
silver.
went
That's
to
right.
Sofia, Bulgaria. My head coach actually came with me, and he got really buddy buddy with all the other coaches, and now he's actually one of the U.S. like Greco World Development coaches, or the U.S. developmental coach for Greco, or one of them. So that was pretty cool. I think I was just too young, too inexperienced. I didn't really know like how all these other guys were training, and like it was different. I had a fun time though. It was a lot of fun. And then the second time it was like I'm going to win this bitch. Like I'm going to like win worlds. That's my goal. It's not to go have fun. It's to I've done this before. I've been here before. I was cadet. I was a third year cadet. I was like I'm going to go win this. Didn't happen, but it was a lot of fun still. I great experience. Met a lot of great people. Had a lot of fun wrestling and got silver, which is still pretty cool. Uh, could have loved to have a gold, but the dirty Russians.
that's that's cool though. I mean, not a lot of people get to say they experience, traveling overseas, foreign countries, competing against, Russians and whoever else. At that young of an age, that's
Yeah,
pretty cool. Um,
definitely a lot of fun.
so, I mean, we've talked about a lot of your success. Obviously, you ran through that freestyle bracket at Fargo that year. Um, so how do you think that's been able to correlate with college so far? And then, like, why did you choose UNI?
So I chose you and I because of the coaches. Like as I know I was complaining about my school not doing a lot for the UNI or the wrestling team, like my high school, and it's kind of ironic because UNI does some stuff for the wrestling team a lot more than my high school did, but you don't come to UNI for money. You don't come to UNI for all the nicest things, the $3 million facility or whatever. Like I came to UNI because I came on my visit and the coaches were amazing. The wrestlers were amazing. I felt like I fit in. I had a lot of fun. I remember the first time I had really like sat down and talked with Doug and Roper. They flew down to Alabama and they came to my wrestling, like the Ironclad wrestling room, and we're sitting down on the wall, and me and Roper are talking about like this far ankle scramble thing, and Doug's sitting over there, and we have these rings, like ring pull up bars, and he's sitting up there and he's like eyeing these pull up bars down, and he's like pacing back and forth, and he goes, you know what? And he takes his shirt off. Like it's just us three in this room. Like the light, like it's dark. Like he takes his shirt off and just reps out like 20 ring pull ups, just out of nowhere, while me and Roper are talking, and I'm sitting here looking at this shirtless guy who is jacked doing pull ups on a ring pull up bar, and I'm like, this guy is effing crazy. Like what in the world is up with this dude? And I was just like, that's what I want. And between him and his mindset and Roper, and he was talking to me about all of the ways like scrambling and like giving me like we're talking about technique. I was like, dude, this is awesome. Like this is what I want to do. Like I didn't even go on any other visits. As soon as I came up on my visit and met all the wrestlers, and it felt like I fit in, and it felt like these are the guys I want to be around. I was like, dude, I'm gonna stay here. I committed like 3 days later, and I had to like I canceled all my other visits, and I was like, this is where I want to be.
That's awesome, man. I mean, Doug's a pretty special guy. We got a pretty special thing going on here, and just like you said, it's like people don't come here for the nice facilities. I mean, they come here because they want to be here, and they believe in the coaches. They trust in the coaches, and they're bought into the program. That's pretty cool. And then I guess I kind of threw two questions at you at once, but how do you think your success from high school has been able to correlate so far? What has that been like making the transition from high school to your first year? I think you're our first year guy, fresh out of a redshirt season, being able to compete at open tournaments and stuff like that. Maybe not having the success that you want, but maybe you can add in some takeaways and stuff like that you had.
Yeah, I mean, it's just different. College is just harder. I had a couple, you know, battles with myself throughout the year, whether it was in practice or at tournaments, and it's something I'd never had to really deal with a ton. Like, I mean, I lost in high school. Like, I lost in national tournaments, but I didn't lose very often. And I want to say it's a blessing and a curse. Like, it was a blessing because it got me where I am today, and I got all this, like, I've achieved a lot of things that I wanted to achieve. But at the same time, I don't think I learned to lose. Like I didn't learn that losing isn't the end of the world. I didn't learn that wrestling isn't the only thing in my life, uh, and that it's okay to lose. Like I mean, it's not okay, but like it's not the end of the world. Like I'm gonna wake up the next day and I'm gonna be fine. And I didn't really learn that a ton until I got here, and I go to the wrestling room and don't get a takedown for 3 months, and I come to my first practice and I have Bisco ride me for 45 minutes with his giant hands and a ball and chain. Like it's just something I needed to learn, and I still have stuff I have to get over still like now, but I think that it was a good year. I think there was a lot of matches this year that I wrestled really well in. I think there's a lot of matches this year that I didn't wrestle how I know I can, and I lost a lot of matches that I shouldn't have. Uh, but I mean, it's all big learning experience. That's what the redshirt year is for, is to just learn. So I
Yep.
mean, I'm glad I lost them. I mean, I'm not glad I lost them. It's okay, I guess, that I lost them, but I'm glad that I have been able to learn from them and get takeaways for them, so that when I do compete again, I can use the knowledge that I've gained.
Yeah, that's the most important piece right there. Not looking at it as a failure, but um, using it as progress to be able to motivate yourself to come back the next day, right, and get better. Um, you talked about some mental battles too. I mean, I think just talking to you a little bit, knowing that confidence can be hard. But I think one thing that Drew Foster talked to me about, I think it was even before I got to college. I mean, it was his senior year, and he just basically was telling me and Parker that he has the mindset of these guys are getting lucky. Like they get a takedown, oh, they got lucky. They beat me that match, oh, they got lucky. And it's like a pretty cool, and it's a different way of like thinking about losses, or whatever you want to consider it. I mean, you're looking at a guy that lost in his senior night duel against Iowa State, and then a couple weeks later goes and wins a national title. I mean,
Yeah.
his mindset showed. It's like, who cares? Like, I'm leaving that in the past. I'm moving forward, and goes and wins a national title. I mean, it doesn't matter. So what's it like making that transition from Alabama to here?
It's
I
definitely
mean,
cold.
obviously the weather's a lot different. I was gonna say that. Football's a little different too, huh?
Football's a little different too. We usually score a lot more in Alabama, but I like it. It's fun. I was nervous at first, but I also knew like my class is awesome. Like all the guys I live with right now, as soon as we got to the dorms and as soon as we met each other, it was like instant click. Like we all got along. We all hung out with each other basically every day. Like I really don't remember the last time I wasn't with one of them like all day. So it's awesome. Like we all we're all really good friends now. And then even guys that aren't in our class, like I feel like I'm friends with everyone on the team. So that made it a lot better. I do miss, my family and my friends back home and my coaches and all of that. But that's just something you have to deal with if you want to. Like, I chose to be here. If I didn't if I didn't want to make that sacrifice, then I could have went to a place closer to home and done that. But I wanted to be here because I enjoyed the coaches and the wrestlers, and I knew that I could sacrifice being pretty far from home if I wanted to be really good at wrestling. So I came here. And then yeah, the weather. That's the worst. That's really the biggest thing's the weather, man. It's like I didn't even own winter coats before I came up here. Someone gifted me one right before I left, but like I didn't think it was gonna be that bad. And then you wake up one morning to go to 6:30 workout, and you're like shivering in the car with your coat on, the heat blaring. Ice all over the windows. I'd only seen snow 3 or 4 times in my entire life before I came up here, and now it's like you walk outside for 3 months and there's snow on the ground. You think the snow's gone. It's 70 degrees one day. It's snowing, a week later, which is crazy to me. But that's another big thing. And then there's no Waffle Houses up here, dude. And I freaking love Waffle House. That's my ish. Oh, there's no Waffle Houses. I used to go to Waffle House at least once a week, dude. That's so good. That's
What do you usually get? Do you get waffles or?
Buddy, I got an all-star special, chocolate chip waffle, hash browns covered in chunk, which is ham and cheese, toast, strawberry jelly, eggs, scrambled. Yeah,
Dang, that was your post weigh-in meal, huh?
sauce. Oh yeah, that was my right after. We always got one meal after tournaments, and it was usually Waffle House. So I definitely miss that.
What else do they got down there that?
Zaxby's is really
Oh
good.
yeah,
Oh,
Zaxby's is fire for sure.
Zaxby's is
I've
fire.
had that a couple times.
What else? There's a Milo's, which is only in Alabama. It's pretty good. It's kind of, I don't really know how to explain it because it doesn't really taste like anything here. They have like, it's basically a fast food restaurant. They have like burgers and chicken and
Okay.
whatever. But like, if you ever go to like the store and you go to their sweet tea aisle, there's a Milo's sweet tea.
Oh, there
Like
you
in the
go.
gallons you can buy in the store, but it doesn't taste the
That's pretty
same as the
cool.
in store. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I heard that Chick-fil-A's like sweet tea down there is way better too than like up here.
Yeah, I haven't had sweet tea up here because I'm afraid that I'm gonna try it and it's not gonna be as good. So I refuse
Yeah.
to order at restaurants or anything.
Um, you have any like superstitions or anything that you like feel like you need to do on meat days or?
Um, Not really. I like to eat the same like around the same things a couple days before.
Okay.
I had this. I don't know if it's a superstition, but I had this thing like before matches where I just have to like touch my entire body. Like I don't know. Like I have to grab my eyes and my ears and Like I just have to touch like my knees, the back of my knees. I have to roll out my ankles. I have to move my toes. I don't know, and I'm like I just feel like I
Little
have to
body
touch my
awareness.
yeah. I have to like feel my whole body. I do this like 20 times, dude, and I have to pull my singlet down, and then I pull it right back up, and I pull like if you ever see me before a match, I can't like not be moving, and so that's all. And I do like this little thing where I like squat all the way deep down, and then jump up as high as I can in the air. And I used to make fun of people that slap themselves, like you know what I mean. But I hit
Yeah.
myself a couple times now, just to wake myself up. So I don't know if I'd call it like I've wrestled without doing it, but I think I enjoy like it's just something I like to do. Like I think it's more of like a OCD or ADHD type of thing than a superstition. But I don't really have any like superstitions. I have different warm ups all the time. Like I don't have any underwear that I wear all the time or socks or anything.
Nothing wrong with that.
I like to
Do
have
you
an energy
what?
drink.
Yeah, yeah. You're a big rain guy.
Big rain guy. I like to have rains, but I can also like I can rest without it. As long as I have any form of caffeine that day, I'm good.
Um, what is one piece of advice you'd give to young wrestlers?
Have fun. Uh, Especially like when you're first starting out. Don't take it as seriously. Like go out there and have fun, and then you know if it's the thing you want to do, keep doing it. And if you're like, man, this just isn't for me, don't stay with it. I have an advice for parents actually, because in Alabama, the parent epidemic is a thing. It's like we had this 5-year-old kid getting screamed at by his dad or his mom. Like, chill out. They're not even old enough to like get in a car. Like, just leave them alone. Let them wrestle. Let them have fun. This is supposed to be a fun environment. It's not supposed to be something that is stressful for a kid and a preteen and even a teenager. Like, let them do their thing. You can, you be the coach, be the dad, be the mom, but don't like get mad if they lose or something like that. Like that's a good thing that my dad always did, and I don't think I'd be wrestling if he didn't like do what he did. He'd never like he wouldn't get like he never got mad if I lost. He never like he was like, dude, it doesn't matter. He only got mad at me if I made a scene after I lost. So he only got mad if I was crying afterward or I was like pissed off. Which I mean, I mean, I
Oh yeah. I mean,
like
because that affects him too. That
yeah,
that makes
that
him
was the
look
whole
bad.
thing. The whole thing was as long as you don't like I don't care what happens in the match, just don't, be an idiot. Don't disgrace your family almost. Like it's kind of it
Yeah.
sounds like extreme, but it's like you're not going to disgrace our name. Like the Land family, you're not going to disgrace that by acting a fool out there. Like if you lose, you lose. So what? It's not the end of the world. And so I think that's a big thing that like kept me in the sport was my dad not being so hard on me. Like he obviously loved it when I win and he wants me to win and he wishes the success for me, but he's also not gonna, stop loving me if I don't, or he could be mad at me if I don't.
Yeah. Do you have any like hobbies or things you like to do in your spare time?
Um, I like to play disc golf, but right now I can't really do that. I like to
Yeah.
cook, so I'm just now getting,
There you
we just
go.
now got our kitchen, so we're cooking up some stuff, which I was doing right
What do you
before.
like to cook?
But dude, I'll cook anything. Breakfast, I feel like breakfast is an easy answer because everyone can cook breakfast, but I like breakfast food, so I cook breakfast probably the most. But I mean, chicken, steak, it doesn't matter. A
What'd you make
pasta.
tonight?
We air fried some chicken and then we have like this little noodle thing that I'm gonna murder off screen later.
All
But
right.
I like to cook. What do I like to do? I don't know, man. I like to work out and wrestle a lot. So it's kind of like,
There you go. Nothing wrong with that.
yeah, like
Hang out with your boys.
hang out with the boys, yell at each other, make fun of each other. That's always fun.
What's your major and like what are you interested in after college? Do you even know?
So yeah, I'm movement exercise science, and I have a minor in coaching and strength and conditioning. And my goal is to go wrestle in the Olympics. My goal is to, you know, wrestle, and that be my job. But if that, something happens and that doesn't, work out, I want to be either a wrestling coach, which I can go in Alabama and get a wrestling coaching job anywhere, like now, or I want to be a performance coach for like all athletes. Like I don't know if you know who Phil Daru is, but he like trains a bunch of athletes and he like gives them workout programs. And like I want to do that,
Yep. Yep.
something like that.
Yep. That's similar. That's similar to me, man. Despite the Olympic dreams, I think I've outlived those. But the sports training and performance stuff. I'm interested in for sure, and definitely coaching. So some rapid fire questions to finish up for you. What's your favorite place to eat in Cedar Falls?
Panda.
Panda Express?
Yeah. Or I don't know. I like sushis. Sucre is good. Mulligan's is good. But
All
like
right.
I'm always on a budget because I'm a broke college kid, so it's usually Panda and Jimmy John's if I go out.
All right. What's your favorite sports team?
Uh, like professional.
Just
So
overall.
Alabama, Roll Tide, or the Bengals for the NFL.
Okay.
That's all I watch is football.
What's your favorite movie?
Oh man, I watched the Benchwarmers the other day and I really enjoyed that. That I guess that right now. I don't really have a
Okay.
favorite one.
Who's your favorite athlete?
Oh crap. Uh, oh no. I don't know. I just like watching wrestling. Or Canelo, the boxer. He's really fun to watch too. And Lomachenko, the boxer.
Okay. And then what's your favorite home cooked meal?
Favorite home cooked meal. Well, it just has to be uh like a morning. So wake up, all your friends stay the night, you wake up, mom cooks uh eggs, pancakes, bacon, cinnamon rolls, just some type of big breakfast meal with a bunch of people That's my favorite is eating breakfast with people.
All right, man. Well, thank you. I appreciate you having on. I just want to say thank you so much for tuning into the Elite Wrestling Club podcast. We hope you found today's episode valuable and enjoyed exploring Corey Land. If you enjoyed this episode and want to stay connected with us, here's what you can do. First, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you get all the episodes. We release new content every Monday and you won't want to miss out. Second, we would truly appreciate if you could take a moment to leave us a review on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, whatever you're listening to us on. Your reviews help us reach more listeners like you and continue to provide valuable content. And finally, if you have any questions or topic suggestions or you just want to connect, you can find us on Elite Wrestling Club website and our social media pages, as well as I obviously have my own social media pages, Lance Runyon. We love hearing from you and engaging with our amazing community. We have some exciting episodes coming up, and we are looking forward to that. So be sure to stay tuned and join us next time. Trust us, you won't want to miss it. Once again, thank you for being a part of Elite Wrestling Club, and thank you, Corey Land, for coming on here.
Of course.
We appreciate your support, and until next time, keep exploring within to inspire others.